Lilybeth ASMR. Hello. This is going to be my Q&A video that I have promised, that is, on Twitter and on the community tab if you had seen my post there about it. I'm doing a Q&A because this month, marks, I don't know if it's actually going to still be June, but June, is the month of my 2-year channel anniversary of being an ASMR artist. And so I thought in order to celebrate, we do a little mini Q&A. I had someone ask if I could do more tapping sounds while whispering, so I'll just slip that in real quick before we get started. Okay. I have some questions here pulled up on my tablet. A bunch of you, more than a bunch of you volunteered to supply at least one question to me. So I just want to thank you so much for that. I will be honest, lately things have been very, very difficult in terms of my overall mental health and whatnot. If you're on Twitter, and if you've also watched the grief and loss video, you'll kind of have an inkling at least of what's been going on. But I don't want to really get too much into that. I'm just gonna answer some questions here. And these are in no particular order, by the way. So, thank you in advance. Let's see, the first question comes from Jeff Paul. He asked, he technically asked 2 questions, and then, I guess there's a third one. But I'm going to try to do all 3, or at least one of them. He asks, have you been told you look like anyone? Favorite cartoon growing up or today? My favorite snack food? Okay. So, the first question, have you been told you look like anyone? Yes. When I was a teenager, I often got told that I look like Christina Ricci. And lately, since I've been losing weight, I've strangely been told I look like Emilia Clarke. Don't ask me why. But I still take it as a compliment. His second question is, favorite cartoon growing up or today? I don't really have a favorite cartoon these days. I honestly don't watch enough. I should say I don't watch TV a lot these days. My favorite cartoon growing up, this is gonna date me a bit, obviously, but I was a big fan of certain 80s cartoons like Rainbow Bright, Care Bears, but the one show, actually, yeah, it was Rainbow Bright and She-Ra, Gem, old school Jim. Oh man, I would get up at like 5 a.m. Saturday morning just to watch that. Because by the time I was really old enough to really appreciate Jim, they were starting to show it. I think it was like at 5 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. And no, I didn't really understand all that was going on, but let's just say she's the original Hannah Montana. Yeah. And I'm gonna be long-winded with some of these answers. Absolute favorite kids show of all time, though, that's not a cartoon, is Fraggle Rock. It was made by Jim Henson. It's probably one of his best works of all time. I highly recommend it. It really influences your imagination, really drives, it really like helped with my imagination. And Red Fraggle Red Fraggle was my absolute favorite Muppet. I shouldn't say Muppet. Red Fraggle was my absolute favorite Fraggle of all time. Don't ask me why, and most of you are probably way too young to even know about the Fraggles anyway. But Red Fraggle, I don't know what appealed to me about her. She was just very stubborn. She liked to swim, and she just really appealed to me as a kid. So, and I think that's the reason why red is my favorite color too, is mostly because of her. And I know it's funny that red would be my favorite color, and yet I don't really wear red that often. Favorite snack food. Snacks. Honestly, these days, give me a Fuji apple that's been in the refrigerator for hours, and I will be so happy. So utterly happy. Those are my go-to snacks now. Nice Fuji apple. It's so rewarding and so nutritious. I could eat those all day even though I shouldn't. I tend to have 1 or 2 of them a day when I can have them. They can also be kind of expensive. But anyway, I'm gonna move on. Cambria Maeve, I hope I pronounced your name right, asks, what has been your favorite RP to create, and who inspired you to create your channel? I'll start with my favorite RP that I've created. That's pretty simple. It's my Grim Reaper video. I just think I'm just so much in love with my take on the Grim Reaper. I really love that character. I'm in love with the idea of her. And I thought, even though I struggled with memorizing the lines that I did, and even though I struggled, I had a script written out and everything for the lines I did of her. So that's why there were so many cuts. It was because I couldn't really memorize all the lines at the time. But I really loved the dialogue that I wrote for her. I loved the things I had to say on the subject of death in general. I wanted to honestly call her the Angel of Death, but YouTube flags, in my opinion, I think YouTube flags videos to have the word death in the title or description or tags. Funny story, they also love to flag the word healing and the word kidnapping. So just food for thought of how hard it is for us ASMR artists out there. Okay. So, she also asked, Cambria I should say also asked, who inspired you to create your channel? You know, it's funny. There's been a number of different ASMR artists who inspired me over the years before I even started ASMR. Like Gentle Whispering, Audra ASMR, Ting Ting, Isabel Imagination. There's a number of others, but the one woman I have to kind of thank for kind of pushing me to try to get myself in front of the camera, and no, I've yet to speak to her ever, is an ASMR artist called Desire ASMR. And I thought, because at the time when I was noticing her channel, she had at least 10,000 subscribers. She's not very well known, but I feel like she has a very natural presence of ASMR. And I thought, if an older woman like her, because I was very much overweight myself when I started, being over 200 pounds at the time, but I thought, if someone like Desire can have at least 10,000 subscribers on her YouTube channel, why can't I? That was just kind of like the thought I had at the time, is like, I love ASMR so much. It's been my passion for so many years. I spent literally years since around 2010 consuming it, old school style ASMR. I just thought, why can't I do that? Here I am today. The next person to ask a question is named John Bradley, and they say, "Hi Lilybet ASMR, greetings from Ireland. Hello. My question is, does your quirky video personality come naturally or perfected over time?" Honestly, I don't know how to answer that question, because I never really thought of myself as quirky. I guess I don't know if I'm generally quirky or not. If I am, okay. I will say maybe it was something a bit of, I think it came with practice of just basically getting in front of the camera in general, because I had at least a year, almost well over a year, where I was very awkward on camera. I still kind of am, I guess. Especially when I had less confidence in myself, when I was more overweight. It was very hard for me to kind of get down my camera persona, I guess, if that's how you word it. I'm still in a sense working on myself these days. So I wouldn't say it was completely natural from day one. It took some time. I think that's kind of how it is in general with anyone who decides to become an ASMR artist. Descending Angel asks, "Hey love, what ASMR video do you always go back to? An all-time favorite if you have one, thanks." That's also difficult too, because I could name at least 2 favorites. One would be Gentle Whispering's hairbrushing video. I forgot what year she released it, but it's one of her older ones. And it's something that I wish there could be more videos of in general, is this type of hairbrushing. Lately, another ASMR video that I love to go back to and watch over and over and over again is by Ruskabelle Rabbit. I love her perfume video, her perfume collection video. Well, it was a role play of a perfume shop. She did 2 parts of it, but I love the first part more so. I also love her take of doing a restaurant role play. These 2 ideas, by the way, are something that I want to do one day myself, but when it comes to like perfume, I'm waiting to have a collection of it before I actually do it. So yeah, because perfume bottles. Oh, that's just gold. Anyway, my next person to leave a question is Gary the Grey. Hi Gary, by the way. He asks, what kind of acting, schooling, training, or experience do you have? I don't know if you just mean with acting in general, or what type of schooling I've had overall when it comes to like what I did outside of high school. I will say I was very big into theater when I was a kid. I did theater classes. I also went head dive into theater when I was in high school. Was I good at it at the time? Honestly, no. In fact, there was quite a clique in high school, and I was often casted out because I didn't really have the talent or the understanding at the time to really portray certain emotions or characters. I knew I wanted to do it, but it was really hard for me to actually read from a script and understand what a director would want. And the only role at the time that I had success with was the White Witch from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I had played that in high school. But to be fair, it was a play that was casted out of just an entire class body, and I wasn't cast from the entire school, because if it had been cast from the entire school, I would have not gotten in at all. And I'm babbling so much. When I went into college, I went into art more so. And I eventually went into studying ceramic art, which is how I came about learning how to throw pottery on the wheel. If I could go back with the wisdom and experience that I do now, I would have pursued theater a lot more heavily and maybe not let people kind of talk me out of it at the time. Gregory Diamond asks, will you keep doing the same type of ASMR videos you've been doing? Please say yes. Or do you plan to go in a different direction? You're such a talented actor. Well, first of all, thank you, Gregory. Second of all, I think for the most part I am going to keep going in this general direction with my roleplays. Right now, though, it is so difficult for me to, without sounding like a Debbie Downer, it's a lot harder for me to actually sit down and film a video in general. Even sitting down to make this one, I think I was sitting around or laying around in bed for an hour or two before I got up and just pushed myself to, put on makeup. But yes, I'm very passionate about the role-playing genre of ASMR. Though I think I need time to maybe make certain life changes before I can go back into being able to fully, I don't know, right now I've been just having a hard time lately, and it's a lot harder for me to do role-playing videos nowadays. It was really hard for me to do the elf video in general, so I'm gonna keep trying. Other things I might explore would be something maybe hairbrushing another woman's hair and things like that, because I really love hairbrushing. But anyway, probably won't change that much. Another question comes from Silky Spirit ASMR. Hello, Silky. That's a very lovely picture, by the way. And she asks, are there any strong creative influence outside of the ASMR community that inspire you, such as an author, a show, a person in your life? I think it really depends on what I'm wanting to work on. I kind of I'm not really that much of a book reader, so it's really hard for me to say of an author that really inspires me. Though obviously I have been inspired by Stephen King before, like with Misery and stuff. Or, when it came to the Phantom of the Opera, I was more inspired by the musical, so I can't really say it was because of the book itself. I don't know, I just take inspirations from many different things, like, actually, there are inspirations that I have yet to really pursue, and I don't really want to name them per se, because some of these are kind of unique, and I'd rather not really share certain ideas until I do them. Until they're made and, released. But when it came to the elf one, I was inspired by, Lord of the Rings. And I did try to study a bit of Sindarin for it. To say Maikavanen, which means, hi, I greet you, that kind of thing. Yeah. I went totally awkward on that question. Actually, there is an author. I'm not going to say who they are because this is a fan fiction writer of one of my favorite villains of all time. I don't want to make any promises, but I'd like to think sometime soon I can try to record a role-playing video of this said villain, kind of before they became a villain, but it was a piece of fan fiction based on their origin. So, I know I'm being vague with that answer. Sorry. Paul says, aside from ASMR and pottery, what are you most passionate about as a hobby? What is one thing that you've always dreamed of doing, big or small? So when it comes to the hobby, I actually really love role-playing. And yeah, I know you're gonna say, but you already do that. No, I've actually been involved in some form of another in role-playing style games, role-playing communities, all different sorts, whether it's by a forum or a multi-user dungeon or what we call MUDs, or like an MMO sometimes with a role-playing server if they even existed in said game. I have spent years just, and I still do it now. I will participate in roleplay of some form. Actually, lately I've been delving into like Vampire the Masquerade type of roleplay, funnily enough. It's my first time kind of delving into that kind of thing. And I decided to go with a clan that's pretty rare, so maybe I'll do an ASMR video on that one day. I have no idea. I don't know. There was supposed to be a vampire video in the works, but I don't know if it's happening. I might have to do a different type of vampire video soon. Anyway, the next question. Oh yeah, Paul asked a second question. I'm so sorry, dude. Paul, by the way, I just want to give Paul a little shout out, by the way, because he was my first Patreon supporter ever, and he has stuck by and helped in that way ever since day one of him supporting me, which was, I think at the start of this year maybe, or it was either December of last year, but still, he's an absolute sweetheart, And so thank you for being the first to want to support me in that way. Thank you, Paul. But yeah, his second question is, what is one thing that you've always dreamed of doing, big or small? I have to think about that for a second. Because it's really hard for me to dream anymore. Actually, the one thing that comes to the forefront of my mind is singing. Because I actually used to love singing. I used to take voice lessons, and I also sang a little bit of opera in college. And I miss doing that. And I had half the thought of, if I were to earn enough money to spare for it, I would love to pursue maybe recording some song covers, and maybe just taking up singing again. Try to do my own take at certain songs, because that is another big passion that I wish I could pursue again. Shadowy Wolf says, "Hey Lily, will you be doing any more gaming ASMR?" You keep asking me that. I feel like you keep asking me that. The only reason my gaming ASMR is on hold right now is because, for lack of a better word, my current PC system bites, the big one. It does not run games fully well, and the last time I even put out a gaming video, someone told me that they could not, while they loved listening to my voice, they just could not stand the frame rate I was able to give them of something like Black Desert Online or Dead by Daylight. I love Dead by Daylight, by the way. I have not played that in a while. Can't make any promises, but there might be a chance I might be able to play that again soon for a video. I'll have to see though. Nebula asks, what made you start doing ASMR? I feel like that kind of goes along with the same question as Cambria's, but it's basically just my love for ASMR and having consumed it for many, many years since 2010. And I just thought that my voice could contribute to ASMR in some way, so it's not as easy as it looks, though. An unknown perception, of course, had this question. And this is my answer. Okay. Paul has even more questions to ask me. He asks, what are your top 5 favorite movies? And what are your top 5 favorite TV shows? Well, I don't know if I can name 5 of each. When it comes to movies, my all-time favorite movie is The Dark Knight. I know some people might think, really? And I have to say, yes. Because some people might not realize how much I love Heath Ledger's Joker and how much he really excited me as the Joker. Rest in peace, though. He's my Joker bae. He was my Joker bae. He always will be my Joker bae. I can't believe I said it like that. But God's rest in peace. I miss him so much. To this date, I think he's been the best live-action Joker. Other than The Dark Knight, I also love The Dark Crystal, which is funny because the sequel to The Dark Crystal is about to come out on Netflix pretty soon, and I'm actually pretty excited about it, just because it seems like they are keeping up with the original quality of it, I just cannot believe it. It seems like they really went into doing the same quality of production that they did in the 80s of it. This movie literally came out the year I was born, by the way, so yeah, that's how old I am. I just really hope it's not disappointing, because as a child who loved this movie, I have high expectations of it. See, another favorite movie. It's so funny how I can't even name 5 favorite movies. I also loved the Silent Hill movie, the first one. I never got a chance to play the games growing up, ever, and I wish I had, but I really loved that movie. I thought that the horror aspect of it and the gore was pretty good. Yes, I love horror. Really good horror, that is. Actually, let me think of, like, my other favorite horror film. I really love, like, found footage horror movies, and I think I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head. There's a found footage horror movie called Afflicted that I thought was pretty good. And then, well, actually, I don't know why I named this before, but you cannot deny the Lord of the Rings trilogy. 100%, 110% awesome. Loved Lord of the Rings. I could watch that forever. The Hobbit, they could have done that better. I feel like that was more at like a 90% of the quality. They could have just done that trilogy a whole lot better. That's just my opinion, though. Okay. So, I believe Paul also asks for 5 favorite TV shows. And I have to confess, I don't watch a lot of TV. But I'll try to answer this as best I can. Favorite TV shows these days? Stranger Things. Love Stranger Things. The 3rd season is about to come out and I cannot wait. I was a fan of The Walking Dead, but I have not caught up with it at all. I'm not caught up with it at all, and I heard that it kind of went downhill. And then there was also Game of Thrones, which I will say, if you've never watched Game of Thrones ever, the majority of it is pretty good. A lot of the seasons were pretty nice, pretty great, had a lot of good story in it. The last season they just put out, though, to finish it, the first 3 episodes were great. Well, I should say they were good. They were good. The 3rd episode of this last season was my absolute favorite. But the way they ended Game of Thrones, though, no, just no. Without spoiling anything, just no. That's all I'll say about that. I actually, as funny as it is, I really have gotten into the Big Bang Theory. I have not seen all of it yet. I can't help it. I think it's kind of funny. And I also have been watching Young Sheldon lately. I've started watching that. I'm trying to catch up on that, so those are at least 4 shows. I think I'll just leave it at that, because this is just kind of the basics of what I've been watching lately. Last but not least, we have a question from Harmonious ASMR. And he asks, you do such good role plays. Have you ever considered going into acting? If so, would you prefer stage or screen? Honestly, both. I've never done, well, besides just filming my ASMR videos, I've never done professional screen acting before. I think that would be really fun to do. I have quite a bit of experience with theater, though, at least when I was a lot younger, so that would be something. That's something that I wish I could do again, whether it's with community theater or something. I've been waiting for somebody to put on The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe because I want to be in that so bad. I want to do the White Witch of Narnia so bad. This has been more or less my Q&A video. I'll probably do another one at some point, maybe when I reach 5,000 subscribers or something. Or maybe just later on, but I just thought it would be nice to try to do a Q&A video for once. So I want to thank you if you helped contribute a question. I want to thank you so much for just supporting me, especially if you're on my Patreon, which if you are, you will now be listed at the start of every one of my videos, starting with this one. So it's just something new I'm doing on Patreon. And if you would like to support me on Patreon, if you have the resources to be able to do so, and if you just want to, you don't have to, of course, but please feel free to check the link down below in the video description. Even $1 helps so much. And with that, I'm gonna wish you a good night. And thank you for being with me. Even if you're new, even if you've discovered my channel rather recently, I just want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to grow and show you my day cat ASMR and just believing in me for the past 2 years. I'm gonna try my best to pull myself out of this funk of a depression that I've been in. Yes, it's real. I might seem happy right now, but it's very hard for me to just sit down and pretend like I'm happy because I'm not really happy. But if you are still here, I might be visiting a certain other ASMR artist pretty soon. Some of you might have already heard about it, but just wait. All will be revealed in time. But I'm gonna wish you good night.